There's always 4 million things to do when it comes to our businesses because we don't just get to create content or just work with the clients. There's a million things to do every single day in our businesses. And I remember when I had a job, we got 2 weeks off. I could take a week here, a week there, and I didn't have to worry about being at work. But when I became an entrepreneur, like that kind of went out the window. I had to figure out how in the world I was going to do this and still let my business function. And so I want to have an honest conversation about how I take time off from my business. So welcome back to another episode of the Keenya Kelly podcast, where we talk about all things business, marketing your business, having a balanced life, therapy, dating, reality shows, all the things. Everything that King is interested in is what we talk about. And I've been like on this journey, I would say, like over the last year, really diving in deep into me, what's going on with me, my nervous system, what I need, what I don't need, overworking, why I overwork, just diving into so much stuff. And one of the things that I've been assessing again for like the 100th time is working, overworking, but also taking time off from my business. Now, I don't know about you, but I've seen amazing people, amazing business owners on social media going on sabbaticals where they are stepping away from their businesses for a period of time. Now, the beauty for many of them is that they're already making millions in their businesses. And so because they're making millions in their businesses, they can take time off, they can let their teams go, and they still have money, right? But I know that not everybody has that. We are working on that. We don't have that yet. And so I personally am not in the stage where I can go on a sabbatical for a year, 6 months, or whatever. I'm just not in that phase. And I don't know about you, but you may not be there either. Now, you might. Listen to this, you might. And if you can, take a time off, girl. Take a time off and get your time. But if you're not in that stage like me, then I have to be very strategic, even more strategic than the person that could take 6 months to a year off. And so I wanted to have that conversation with you about when I'm taking time off, what are the things that I do in order to be able to do that? So one of the first things is, before I can like put a plan in place, I've got to even know that I need to take time off, right? And I think that as business owners, we often find ourselves with this thing, like knowing that if we don't work, we don't get paid, right? And so we don't really know what to do, you know? I've had trouble in my business in 2022 and in 2023. And the big trouble came the first trouble came when former President Trump was talking about banning TikTok. And they were talking about it a lot in 2020 and 2021. And so then when 2022 came, our customers just stopped buying. They were just like, if TikTok's going away, we're not buying it. And so we were like, we lost so much money so fast because people were just not buying for like 6 months. So then when it all came back up in 2023 with President Biden, hold on. Trump was in 2019, right? And then it all kind of spewed into all the year of 2020 before the election. And then it came up again as President Biden has been in office. And that one just started to be even worse because it made it beyond all these different like phases and stuff. And so the requests for me, the buying my programs, but all this stuff, it just like started to kind of fizzle out. And that was really, really, really tough. So where I normally would have taken a vacation in December, I was not able to because we had to recoup. I mean, we lost over $200,000. Like that's a lot of money. And when I mean lost it, not that somebody took it out of the bank, but it was like, the money we normally would have made, we did not make. Right. And so all that we had in our savings from our business, we were like having to, for the employee, it was just a really bad time. But I couldn't take off in 2023 because we had to revamp my entire business. Like in a matter of 60 days, we revamped my entire business. But now we had to rebrand, and people know me for more than just TikTok or whatever, And so it was really tough. We couldn't take time off. But I did manage to take off a week in December. And since then, I've been building in that time even more. But also, I've been asking myself, like, okay, am I still overworking? What's going on and what's happening there? And so the first thing I had to acknowledge was that I'm overworking and I need to take a break. And not just to take a break once a year, but multiple times throughout the year, because it's just not, even though it's a normal American culture to work, it's not normal the way God intended, the way we were created to do what we do, right? So I had to start acknowledging the fact that I was overworking, right? And I was just doing so much for whatever reason. And so first, once I acknowledged that, then I was like, okay, let me look at my business model. Okay, I know we go into the model. I said, let me look at my business model. What is my actual business model? And I'm like, okay, when I started really looking at that, I said, okay, my business model needs some serious fine tuning, because we're doing this and then we're doing this and we're doing this and we're doing this. There's nothing that is strategically, intentionally planned that we can plan for, right? And so I said, okay, I need to hire somebody, because there's a reason why we keep doing all these things. There's something that I don't know, because we're going around and around and around and around this loop. And I don't know how to get out of this loop, because all I know is all I know, which is why the company is where the company is. And so I said, okay, we've got to hire somebody to help look at the business model and help me revitalize the business model. So then I invested in someone to look at my business and then to help me streamline and go, okay, instead of doing all of this, why don't we get rid of all of this and just do this more often, right? And I said, okay, we can do this a lot more often, right? We have our amazing course called Vertical Video Mastery, and then we have our membership community called Vertical Video Accelerator, and people come into the accelerator once they come out of Vertical Video Mastery. And so we said, okay, so that's the model there. And then I also do some VIP days for people, like a whole day of consulting and all that type of stuff, right? And so I was like, okay, so then there is that. And so once we revitalized the model, then it became creating what it looks like to launch this product, the times that we launch the product, right? And in addition to that, once I started looking at that, I said, okay, now we got to get systems and processes in place to where everybody knows what they're doing at all times. And I've got to elevate people in my company to start doing things that I do, right? So we've been trying to find a social media manager for years, right? And we just really struggled with that, because the really good social media managers and strategists have their own businesses and they're not working in a company like that. And so I was like, okay, it took a while, like 2 years. So I said, okay, I've got to find somebody who understands marketing, knows some about social media, and I need to invest a lot of time mentoring this person the way I see things, buying courses for them to dive into, to learn. I need to just invest all this time and energy with them, training them for 6 months and a year, and investing that time and seeing it as the investment that it is, so that in a year that this person can really be operating as me on social media. I may be creating the videos, but this person is able to rock out. But I've got to invest money in paying them and also training them. Now, the truth of that is it's been extremely painful. Extremely painful. And not because this person isn't smart. It is because here is how I've always done things. Here is how I think. I'm a social media strategist. So the way that I do and believe and learn and teach and all that is my own way. And I've got to train this person to see how I see things, do as I do things, and then at some point think how I think, right? And learn how I learn, so to speak. So it's been was it almost 90 days, and I've been investing. So that's not nowhere near a year, not even 6 months. And I just been investing the money and the time just with this person and with this person and with this person, with the understanding that once this person has got it, now here's these things I don't have to do anymore that I'm used to doing. I don't have to do. Right. And then my assistant has been with me for 2 years. I said, okay, if I'm going to be able to step away from the company in some regard, I have got to elevate her to her responsibility to do more. So then I started training her to be our online business manager. Now, some of you guys must say, why would you do that? Well, she's very good. There was just some areas she just did not know. And I said, okay, I've got to train her and get her to a place. And so I had lots of conversations with her a while ago and said, this is what we're doing. This is where we're trying to get you. And then once we get you to a certain place as an online business manager, then we're going to bring on an assistant to assist you. So now all those assistant duties and online business manager duties, you're going to get rid of the assistant ones and give them to her. And what's the intention of that is so that the things I'm doing to run the business that she is starting to do, right? And then the social media manager will be able to do those things. Then I'm actually reaching out to someone to do copywriting, right? And I'm like, there's going to be a time I'm going to have to invest the time and energy into training a copywriter who will write for us, right? And eventually 6 months to a year, they will be able to work hand in hand with the online business manager, with a social media manager, the assistants to do the things to take that off my plate, right? And so what that is going to do, that is going to free me up to have time, right? To be able to do more of what it is I want to do. Okay, so that's the ultimate where I'm trying to go with this. But as it pertains to how am I taking time off now, here is how I'm doing it. So I am intentionally talking about the time off thing, not just for me, but for my entire team. I'm already training them for where it is we're going in a year with them and their positions and all that. For example, we just had a meeting today with my team, and we are starting to work on the 4-day work week. Okay. And so what that means is that we're going to be working Monday through Thursday, and that's it. That's what we're working towards. And I shared with them that we've been talking about this for some time now, that one of our core values is work-life balance. And one of the ways for us to have work-life balance is I will actually want to give me a day back, and I want to give them a day back. So it has to be not just a me thing, it has to be an us thing. And the reason why I did that was because 1, it's a core value. 2, I also recognize that this is something that they've never had and I've never had. 3, that I can't take time off or have the 4-day work week and they're working throughout the week because they still need me. They're working, they still need me. And I'm like, okay, we have to have it, not just me. So then I started just kind of combing through what would it look like to have that whole day off? Not like personal life, but in business. What does our team have to have in place? What do we have to have done to be able to have that in place? And so I started looking at what that looked like as a process and as a system. And so then I said, okay, I can see it. So then I brought it to them and said, how do you guys feel about this? Everybody's excited. And I'm like, okay, so I can see the value in the 1 day a week, right? And so we had to create systems and processes. As we're creating the processes for that, I'm also creating process for how do I take a week off, right? And what that looks like is when we're taking a day off versus a week off, is it's like, what has to be done that week? So the week that I'm trying to take off, go wherever I'm going, what all is happening that week that I'm off, the week before and the week after? What needs to be done all of these weeks leading up to that week off? So that way, when that time comes, it's all done. Right? So I had to look at what are all my podcast episodes? What's the titles? What's the thumbnails? What needs to be written? What needs to be filmed? What needs to be edited? Right? What needs to be scheduled to the podcast player? Right? What questions does my team have? What are our offers? What are we selling? What are the emails that's going to be going out to my email list while I'm off? What are potential questions people are going to ask as a result of those emails that are going off that I need to equip my team for, right? And so because I'm doing that for 1 day, I'm like, I need to do that for an entire week. So I started to structure and go, okay, we plan a month in advance in general, period. That way, here is all this stuff that our graphic designer needs to do, that our video editor needs to do, that the social media manager needs to do, our tech person needs to do, right? And knowing all of that and preparing for that, So like, for example, I was over in England for a conference and I was very happy to be over there and I wanted to be present. So my job was to go, okay, what are all the podcasts or YouTube videos or short videos that are probably going to be uploaded that week that I'm off, but also the week when I get back. And I knew that weeks in advance. And so every day I was doing extra episodes. So like today I'm filming this for whatever particular day, and I would film that video and then the other week's video. And I would do one podcast and I would do another. I would write one email and then write another. So I was doing double each day. When I normally would do one, I was doing two. On the weekends, if I had it in me, I had makeup on and all that, I would come into my office and I would film one thing. I'll go, okay, that's done. And if I kept doing that, next thing you know, when it came time to go off, everything was done. My team didn't need anything. Everything was literally done, right? So like, if we're talking about creating time to take off and do the things we want to do, then strategically we have to plan. My natural tendency is to be spontaneous, to be creative, right? But I realized, when I had a sales job, that wasn't helpful for process and for follow-ups and all that. So then when I started my own business, I realized that wasn't helpful for running a business either. Then when I started having a team and I was very like all over the place, it wasn't helpful for them either. And so I was like, okay, I can stay creative, but I got to become more systematized. I was like, well, how do I do that? That's not my natural gifting. I had to hire an assistant who was way more organized than me, who got us organized. The next thing we recently did, which was probably the most painful thing I've done in my business, is we had to start using a project management tool. Oh my God, that was the most painful thing that I've ever done in my business, ever. Because I'm creative. I'm a visionary. I'm not someone who likes to go into tools and click this. Good God Almighty. Do you know how painful it was to start using Notion? Notion is an easy software. Easy. For me, as the creative, it was bombs over Baghdad. But I kept watching this person forget to do this thing and this person forget to do this thing and me forget all this stuff. But one day I finally said, okay, y'all, I'm going to pay for this tool and I'm paying for it. And I paid for it for like 6 months and we never used it. Finally, one day I said, look, if we're going to grow this company, if we're all going to stop being in meetings with me when I'm frustrated that they forgot to do something, then we got to all start using this tool. I said, today, everybody start putting things in Notion. I was like, this is going to be painful today, tomorrow, next week, but we're all going to become very grateful that we started using Notion, right? That was a couple months ago. Yesterday, I made a post in our regular group chat and I was just like, I'm so proud of us and our attention to detail in Notion. How do you guys feel if things have gone with Notion? Everybody in there said, I didn't know how unorganized I was, until they started using Notion. And they were like, it has changed their lives. They don't forget anything. One of our girls was like, I am the most unorganized person on the planet. And she said, Notion is helping me so much. So first, I had to recognize how all over the place I was. And I had to value not being unorganized. I had to value investing in something to help me be more organized. First, it was my assistant. Then I had to start valuing the fact that my being all over the place was negatively impacting them and their lives. And I had to be willing to invest in a tool. Then I had to be willing to invest the time in actually learning how to use the tool and then encouraging everybody to do it. Right? So it falls on me because I'm the entrepreneur, I'm the owner, right? But if I'm saying to myself, I value me, I value my team, and I want to build a sustainable business, then these are the systems that have to be put in place for us to have the success that we want to have so that I can have that time off, right? So I plan for it, right? And it's not the most sexiest thing to plan your whole business for weeks, and doing extra work every day in order to have time off. But when you run a whole business, you have to. When you have a job, someone's able to pick up your desk and do your duties, right? When you are a business owner, you run an entire company. So that means we have to value what it is we're doing. We have to value the people that are doing it with us, because they could be anywhere, right? And we have to make them feel valued, right? And all the things. And so I'm looking at my team. Like today we had our meeting. We're talking about the 4-day work week. And we always start our meetings with a 1-word open. How do you feel? And then we end the meetings with a 1-word open, right? Or 1-word close. How do you feel? And we went through the whole meeting. I talked about the 4-day work week, all the things, and us getting bonuses back and stuff. And I said, how does everybody feel? Somebody was tired because they were just sleepy, but everybody else was excited. And I was like, why are you guys excited? I'm like, because we forgot that you were going to do the 4-day work week. And we're so grateful that you really are going to do this. We're so grateful for this system of Notion that's helping us be more organized. We're so grateful for how we can see our lives being different than it ever has been, because we've never had a Friday off. It was so funny. 3 of the ladies on the call were married, and another one has a partner. They just had a baby. And I was like, one thing you guys, they said, well, the 4-day work, I said, you can sleep in, you can do whatever with your partner. And they were like, no. I was like, girl, you could spend your time having sex with your partner. You're all married, whatever. And they were like, well, our partners still have to work. And everybody's like chuckling. Everybody's all like, blushing and all that. Cause I'm like, I'm single. I'm not married. So I'm like, I tell married people, have at it, do it. You know what I mean? It's so funny. And so like, she says, well, our partner still got to work. And I was like, girl, if you off and I said, you know what you can do for him before he goes to work? Everybody's eyes got so big. I was like, I'm just saying. I'm like, why would you not want to, before he goes to work? And everybody's like, true. They're so cute. They're from the Philippines. So cute. But they're like, but I'm like, these are some of these little things that we can do with having the time off. You know what I mean? Or spending time with your kid, going outside, whatever it is. But we just kind of chuckled about that particularly this morning because it was on my mind. So I said it, and I was like, they're married. It's fine. And so because I value, them, what they're doing, what they bring to the company, and all the things or whatever. So if you are considering like having time off, then you really have to get serious about what you're doing with your business. You really got to get serious about you investing time and creating systems. Okay. You really have to get serious about looking at your time and going, okay, I do want to have time off. How can I make myself have time off? So like there's this conference that I pitched in Bangkok, and they're not going to pay for anything, but it could be a great opportunity. And I like taking time off in December because of Christmas, the lights and all that. And so I'm like, okay, what if I get picked up for this conference in Bangkok? I can travel to Bangkok, be at this conference, connect with people beforehand. So I have a whole slew of people to help me walk through being at Bangkok, and I can have time off, be there for Christmas, and not necessarily here in the States when I want to go I wanted to go do different things, And so I am still working on the pitch of them picking me up as a speaker for the Bangkok conference. And I'm like, if they say yes, then I can figure out like, okay, how do I plan to have that time off? Right? Maybe that is the time when I'm like, okay, y'all, do y'all want to have this week off unpaid? They may say no, because, we're not doing bonuses this year. We'll do it next year because we lost so much last year. So we're recouping for what we lost last year. And I'll give them the option if they want to have that week off for Christmas. They may say no. They may say, can we just get 3 days? Great. Then the same system that I'm using to have a week or 2 weeks off, they will be using to have a week or a couple days off, right? So that way everything is still getting done. They're getting done what they need to get done. I'm getting done what I get to get done, and everybody still gets to have time off, right? So I have to create that system first, so then I can then share that system with them, and then it becomes, a part of the company's process of what we do when we have time off, because I have people all the time that will request, I want to have this day off or this day's off. And I'm like, hey, before you take that time off, because they have to request 2 weeks in advance. If they want to have that time off, I say, okay, well, you got to make sure you have all your things taken care of for that time. So they're already instituting that, but now we will be doing it from a week standpoint or whatever. All right. So I wanted to share that because as entrepreneurs, like we just work ourselves to the bone sometimes, and that's not healthy. We start businesses for time and financial freedom. And if we're not actually getting the freedom, then we're actually enslaving ourselves. And that's not what any of us should be doing. And so I wanted to share that today because this is what I'm doing, what I've been doing, and how I'm going to have more time and give my team more time. So if you enjoyed today's episode, if you're watching this on YouTube, please let me know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed this episode here on the podcast, I want to know. I know you are listening. I just don't know what you're thinking. So if you wouldn't mind, write a review. Also, come to Instagram. Tell me what you learned and what you enjoyed about the episode. Because again, I shoot these, I record these, and I love doing these, but I have no idea, what you guys are enjoying. Okay, so let me know. And thank you guys so much for listening and watching.